like, I don't know. I don't know how my friends do it who like don't leave.
I mean, I have friends who are having babies there and living in the city. I'm like, best of luck.
Like, more power to you.
Yeah.
Truly.
It's a no for me.
Damn, it's a no for me too. I know.
Midwest is a hard no.
Also, that's a hard no.
Hard no.
Yes. No, I like always know that I was going to like end up out here because I grew up acting. So I was back and forth between Chicago and LA. And I never planned on going to New York. And then just like fell into fashion as the focus. I was like, well, I guess I'm here now.
I mean,
It's been 7 years. And I'm like,
then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It is the best place on earth, though, objectively.
Yeah, like when people joke that it's the center of the universe, like
it is.
It like kind of is.
It really is.
Yeah.
I try to visit at least 5 times a year. It's super important to visit there.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, we can be bi-coastal, kind of.
Yeah, that's the dream. Okay.
I didn't even introduce myself, by the way, Hannah. Nice to meet you. You came in hot.
I know.
My day.
All good. All good.
I also just sit like a slob, so feel free to move me around.
I know. You can like look in the camera.
It's so fun. I need to like take a little BTS.
Oh yes, I know. I do too. I need to get better at like the TikTok, the behind the. It is so annoying.
Should I do like a walking? There we go.
Yeah, get it going.
I'm girly right now. Wait.
And you're gonna wave.
Yeah, is this locked? I close it. Okay.
Hi.
That was really cute.
Yay.
That was very cute. Okay. BTS. One more thing.
Yeah,
Do
BTS.
a little one of these.
Wait, yes.
How does one do this?
No, then I'm gonna have you like send this to me.
Oh shit, it's video.
Cute.
All right.
Love it.
Do you have other people today?
No, not today. I was going to, and then this is like nice and easy.
Yeah.
I know. It was kind of perfect. I was staying at the Thompson for a couple days.
Oh, nice.
Which is like right down here.
Yeah,
So it was
great.
It worked out very
I
well.
live 10 minutes away.
Oh, fab.
This was easy as hell.
We'd love that. Yeah, the location here is good.
It is. This is great.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll give you a little bit of rundown. So
Yeah.
podcast, basically, like, I don't know how much of the gist of it you know, but like all started with I was traveling, talking to a bunch of people, working in editorial, and then on the retail sides, I just kept meeting like people with amazing stories, but for maybe like smaller brands or this or that, like I couldn't put in Bloomingdale's.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what the hell? I need to like do something with these stories. Started the podcast, but also like want to not have it just be about fashion. So it's like fashion, hospitality, wellness, beauty, all of that good stuff. Focusing a little bit less on the how-to, but more so on the why you're spending your time. So like we'll dive into your story too of like how are you doing what you're doing, but it's less about like how are you building your business? More of like why are you building your business?
That's great.
Spending the time doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that'll be it. Quick and easy. Like 30 minutes is roughly goal.
Okay, great.
And yeah.
Let's check the hair situation.
I know, right?
I'm going to put my jacket all the way on.
Right. I was in here yesterday. I was like, oh, there's that like kink on the back of your head that you missed.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
cool.
I'm like, okay, I think we're just going to do this.
Right. We're just going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Love it. Okay, fabulous. So I will do intro and everything separately because I feel like those are always so
If we ever take a break where or like I'm mid-sentence and I say something very dumb,
I'll cut it.
and I'd be like, redact.
Yes, you absolutely can. We'll cut all the things.
Okay, great.
It'll be good. So like no pressure, nice and casual.
Perfect.
Right. Okay, let's dive in. I am so excited to hear all the details of your story because obviously, so I met Hannah through Carrie's Pilates on my search of trying to find a studio here in LA. Stumbled upon Carrie's and stumbled upon your class, which is hands down my favorite.
Thank you.
But I loved your mentality and the way that you approach fitness and food, and then following you on Instagram, hearing more about your journey, I think is just so fascinating. So will you just dive in? Like, give me your story outside of just the clips that I've seen on Instagram.
So thank you very much, by the way.
Of course.
I really came to LA about 8 years ago
Mm-hmm.
with an entirely different agenda. I came trying to be a singer-songwriter, the musician route. And it wasn't until the pandemic that I really switched over to fitness. I'd always loved fitness as sort of like my therapy.
Okay,
And I needed it during those times that I was pursuing that career because it was pretty toxic. I don't know if you've ever heard, but the entertainment industry is not the kindest.
All right, if you've just heard a story or two, no, it is a wild, wild world.
It is the Wild West.
Yes.
Truly, specifically music.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that my passion became my job and it was draining me and it was really, really toxic.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't find an outlet I loved except for fitness. And it was sad. I wasn't interested in listening to music anymore. Like I stopped listening to music, which is crazy.
Yes, no, that is so crazy. And I went through something similar with fashion, honestly, where it was so burning me out that then I started to resent all of it.
Oh,
like,
everything.
Hated getting dressed, hated like doing any research that literally your job revolves around.
Yeah.
It's sad when that starts to happen.
It is really sad, especially because if I think about as a kid, like that was truly my lifelong dream. And I pursued it forever. And I moved out to LA for it. And I put the grind in for 5 years in LA. And it was really hard to recognize this as not quitting. That's the biggest thing, is turning it into rather pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the pandemic, as horrible as it was a saving grace because it just gave me so much perspective. The only outlet that I felt was safe was fitness and working out and helping people. It started with Zooms. It started with Zoom sessions with friends. People were like,
interesting.
Can't get into my studios. Everything's closed.
Uh-huh.
Can you please tell me what to do for workouts? And I was like, absolutely. What else am I doing all day?
And at this point, had you ever been a trainer or a coach or anything like that? Or were you just like that fitness friend?
I definitely dabbled. Even in college, I became a spin instructor. So I was like doing my thing. My parents are really active, so an active lifestyle is something that I always had.
Mm-hmm.
But I started teaching a couple years after I moved out, mainly because the memberships were getting so expensive. Right. And I was like, you know what? I could work out for free if I just started teaching. So I got my certifications. I started working at Carrie's because I loved working out there.
Yes. And like, I feel that with my Pilates studio in New York too, where I'm like, I spent a lot of time here.
Yeah, I became friends. I'm like making friends with, I'm like, who are you? Becoming BFF with people at your studio.
I know.
But that's what happened.
Yeah, totally.
And I love it. And it's great friendships. It's a positive atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So it really just turned into, from the pandemic onwards, it became a full-on business. I created a new account and I just really invested all my time and energy in building what is Sweat with Hannah, my own online business, as well as kind of navigating all the different studios throughout Los Angeles.
Oh, which I'm sure is such a feat. I mean,
it's wild.
Health and wellness is so ingrained in the culture here that it's like the availability of it is times 10 million.
Yeah, it's very highly concentrated here.
Yeah. I'm sure the competition is like kind of crazy.
You know what's interesting though? The more I am involved in it, the more I see kind of how there's a lot of bad teachers out there. I'm just going to say it. And it's wild.
Yeah.
Because this is a saturated place. And I have been to so many classes that, quite frankly, if I hadn't had my certifications or kind of just known what I was doing, I could have easily injured myself. Dangerous.
I know. I started to notice that too. It is kind of insane.
Yeah.
I specifically remember one class at like the Heated Pilates studios here. And I'm like, with Heated, like it is, you have to be so careful with that. I mean, one, the moves, but also like making sure everyone's okay with that heat and extra just like pressure that's on you. Yeah. And I was watching it and I was like, oh my God, like I'm looking around the room, I'm like, holy shit, like I'm concerned.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen people like lean against a wall in my Heated classes. I'm like, okay, what's happening? Like I've had to, at the end of class, given someone electrolytes, and I always have a snack in my bag just in case someone feels faint or anything, and it came in handy, but that is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. So tell me more about that process of getting to know fitness on this like next level. I feel like just in general with like health and wellness, people are paying more attention to it and are doing the research themselves versus so like, you know, I go to this class and it stops there, but people are really wanting to ingrain this in their lifestyles. So how like what were some tools that you learned to or that you used to learn more about it and take it to the next level for you?
Well, definitely just soaking up as much knowledge as possible. I think that is something that, again, a lot of people are hired based on, unfortunately the case, but based on looks and appearance and who they know. Even in the fitness industry, like welcome to Los Angeles. It's everywhere. Right. It's really everywhere.
It is. Oh, it totally is. I mean, it can go from like restaurants to editorial. It's a thing.
Of course.
Unfortunate realities.
Yeah, but it definitely sets you apart. People can, they very much can tell whether someone is knowledgeable and they trust them versus a hot girl teaching a class. Right. Or you can be both.
Or you can be both. Hello, look at you right here. Yes.
No, not saying that. But we are confident. We are comfortable in our skin. But it amazes me, like the lack of knowledge that's out there that's truly harmful.
Yes. No, that can be like a scary thing.
Yes.
Okay. So also diving back a little bit. So this pivot away from music, tell me about that mindset of being okay with it as a pivot versus giving up in a way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you kind of end up with this guilt feeling of like,
extreme.
I moved across the country. I invested so much time to this. When at the end of the day, we're multifaceted humans. And for one stage of your life, something might fit really well. And that later on it doesn't, or you learn more things about the industry and you're like, hey, you know, this doesn't resonate with my values or how I want to live my life. How did you go about making those choices and like feeling okay with it?
I mean, in one word, therapy.
Therapy, yeah.
A lot of therapy.
Uh-huh.
I think that I personally am incredibly hard on myself. I am a perfectionist, whether I'd like to admit it or not. And I never want to quit anything. That's a horrible word.
Right. No, I hate that word.
It's a horrible, horrible word. And I always said to myself, I will grind. And it's a part of the process to be miserable, starving artist. But at what cost? When it begins to affect your life, we don't know how long we're on this earth for. So do I want to live my life miserable? Do I want to leave with a college degree feeling like absolutely worthless and making pennies to do something that I don't even have love for anymore because it's just been so tainted? So I had to think of it as a pivot because I really had to think about what am I worth and just trying to separate my music abilities with other facets about me that there's a lot of different factors that determine my worth, and it's not my job in music.
Yes. And, you know, I feel like this is something I talk about with a lot of my friends in the fashion industry too. They were like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. But you kind of have this idea of like, I want to prove my worth or show my ability that I can be the best editor and I should be at X title. Like, okay.
It's like, who are you proving? At the end of the day, who are you proving? Because if you are unhappy, what's the point?
No, I agree. It's, I think, very similar vibes within the fashion industry. And like, there's so many times I looked at my lifestyle or career and I was like, I see how this is affecting my relationships, my friendships, and all of that for what? I'm literally eating Trader Joe's stir fries, starving, and living in a shoebox. Yes.
I'm starving and I'm sad. And or just staying up really late nights working in the studio because that was like the times that the producer would want to work at. And I go to bed at 9 p.m. and I am a happy gal. Push me to 4 in the morning. No, I can't live like that.
I know. And like, who's making their best work then? I mean, I'm sure some people are fine.
A lot of artists really are night owls.
Yes.
It just doesn't work for me that way.
No, and like, that's just so everyone works in their own ways.
Yeah.
I always call it like either you're like a sprinter or a marathon worker. And like you can't be forced into something you're not, especially if you're trying to be creative.
Yeah, I mean, my brain is fried at that time. It's
100%.
La La Land. It's sleepy time.
No, like
I'm not trying to
coherent
write
then.
lyrics.
No, absolutely not. So what role does music play in your life now?
It's really interesting because I've really been thinking about kind of how this pivot was, in a sense, meant to be, because I listen to music from the second I wake up till the second I fall asleep.
Same.
I'm playing it, when I wake up, a certain kind of genre, and then I get to curate my playlists all day, depending on the type of class in the studio. And I'm constantly researching and finding new music, and it's totally brought back my love for music of all kinds of genres. Like it's instead of limiting to like a very small indie category, it's all over the place.
That's so fun to have like introduce this new way to interact with something you love and to see the spark come back.
Oh, it came back tenfold. And I think having the loud music, it's just so much like performing. And so that's why I kind of feel, because the whole thing with being a musician, it wasn't the late night studio sessions and the self-promotion and all that stupid superficial stuff that I liked. It was the sitting down and performing and making people feel something. And the fact that I get to do that now, and it's instant gratification, seeing people happy versus like my own having to find gratification after like a year of hustling. Oh, maybe someone recognizes you for 5 seconds and then you're back to square one.
Then here you go. The cycle repeats itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love what you're saying about like having more of these like abstract things that you thought you loved. Yeah. Music as a surface level, but it's really that like deeper down feeling. I think that's an important thing for anyone to keep in mind, that you can apply or like, apply those certain things to so many different facets of your life, both personally and professionally, to make yourself happy and fulfilled.
Yeah, it's like okay to be happy. In fact, it should be a top priority instead of you must hustle no matter how you feel, and your mental health is secondary to your job because your job is everything and it defines you. And it's like, at the end of the day, who fucking cares?
Literally, who cares?
Yeah.
I know. It's like, it's not that deep. No. Like, it's literally fine.
Like, is that what people are going to remember you by? Or are they going to remember you by the times and the memories that you've had with each other?
Yeah.
Not your job title.
No, absolutely not. It's like you would rather be a happy person,
correct,
kind person, all these other things that showing up as your best self is way more important.
Beyond.
So now with what you're doing and you're building your own business, tell me how this is all playing out. Like, what are some things, are you like taking what you learned in music where you were having to like self-promote, but now you're building your own business and that you have to be an entrepreneur and like go after that? How are you finding that balance and bringing all of that into what you're doing now?
It's definitely, there was an initial cringe factor for sure, because I don't like the idea of self-promotion at all.
No.
But I knew I had to do it with music, and I knew that if I wanted to start fitness, I also had to do that. I think what was interesting that I kind of missed the memo in music, because I just was really lost and did not know my identity within music. At first, with the fitness stuff and self-promotion, I kind of was just doing what other people were doing. And then as I got more comfortable with it, I was like, wait, the people that I like and the people that I follow and respect are genuinely being themselves. So if I can be myself and promote that without any gimmicks or it's just like fake personas, hate having a persona, the brand like that.
God, I know.
No. Like, you are your brand, be real. I think that's what gets me through the promoting. It is so much easier for me to promote and post because I know that I'm being me, genuinely.
I love that. And I totally relate. I've always been very entrepreneurial since high school. I started a blog and like this and that, but hated the self-promotion also, even though it's about yourself, but it was like, no, but I like the craft. I want to share it. But you do feel this pressure of, okay, well, if I'm going to self-promote, I want it to be successful. So it should look like XYZ. Of course, I'm already doing that. But then I feel like that allows for burnout because
That's a problem, comparing yourselves to other people. And that's something that I definitely did in the beginning. And I definitely have my moments where I do as well. The second I get into comparing and kind of seeing some peers, I would never say competitors because honestly, I don't view them as competitors. It's like goals. Yeah. But if I get too caught up in looking at their brand and looking at all the things they're doing, they're holding retreats, I notice myself getting worked up. And then I'm like, hey, like you are at a different place. You are at a different place. You are building something completely different.
Right.
There's no need to compare.
No, there's totally room for everything. And if you're going to be excited and motivated about what you're doing, like it better feel aligned.
There is room for everything. There's room for everyone. And I really hope that someone that you try to go for it, even though it's a saturated market, because there's only one you.
Yes. Oh, for sure. And with social media, I feel like everything feels so saturated because we have the visibility into it, which it's like a double-edged sword. But it definitely shouldn't stop you from doing anything and looking at it in the way of like, okay, well, here's my voice. Let me add to this. We love that. So speaking of like your voice and standing out and all of that stuff, like what is your ethos that you want to bring to, your fitness plans or meal plans? Like how do you approach fitness that feels aligned to you? Because obviously, as we know, there's a lot of noise in the industry that can't.
Scary.
It can be scary.
Very
not always resonate. Right.
Yeah. I think, and especially from personal experiences, I wanted to bring my unique method of combining a couple modalities to really feel the best in my body. And I want people to feel stronger ultimately. I don't want to promote, not like it's a bad thing, but I'm not here to promote weight loss. I'm not here to promote diets. I'm here to promote more of a balanced lifestyle, but in addition to that, finding strength mentally and physically. It goes well beyond just picking up a dumbbell. And I also think, thankfully, people are getting more aware, specifically women, that it's okay to pick up a heavy weight. You won't bulk. Like it's going to be okay. Because that was very misleading for a long time.
Oh, for sure.
So I think in the beginning, I really, really showed a lot on my Instagram. Okay, I'm hip thrusting 300 pounds. Do I look like a massive human? Absolutely not. I'm just getting stronger. I'm not. And I am, as someone who really struggled with past body image issues and eating disorders, like I never want to start selling things that trigger people because that would just be going against who I am to my core.
Yes. Oh, I completely agree. And I think that's honestly probably why I resonated with your class so much. Same thing. I've, struggled with eating, with body image.
Truly, who hasn't?
Who hasn't? Absolutely. And, when you do, sometimes you end up in a class where it's like, hey, summer's around the corner, ladies. Oh my God. You're sitting there like, okay, now I'm having these bad thoughts. I'm not having any fun here. This is horrible. And oh my God, it's the world's like biggest trigger.
Yeah, you really have to, as a teacher, you have to be mindful of what you're saying because you have the mic. People are listening to you and what you have to say. And you have to watch what you're saying and how you frame things. It's not about coming to the class for an extringent, extringent. I'm not even going to say it. Extrinsic, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not about coming to class for an external motivation. It's about how to feel better when you take a class because you are wanting to take care of yourself mentally, physically. You want to be in a 45 to hour long class where you don't have to think about all the stuff going on in your day, in your life. You can just come to the class and consider it therapy. That's what I want.
It is.
Fun, positive environment. Not toxically positive because that's another thing that pisses me off so much. I have to unfollow people all the time. I'm like, you truly aren't smiling that much. Let's be real.
I know, you're not having that much fun.
All day.
Yeah, have a little fun, but like you're not in this like elevator lunge right now, just like
Like truly,
Smiling
we're
it
not
up.
smiling.
No.
We're shaking and we're miserable.
Exactly.
But we love it at the same time.
We love it at the same time.
Yeah.
We're jamming out to like house music
Great
and it's
music.
like a vibe.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's like honestly, I feel like what my favorite part of like Mega Reformer is the music that goes with it. The
Oh, so
vibe.
good.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. I really recently I've gotten my certifications in Reformer. And
How is that?
it's significantly more rigorous. It is very much a discipline. It requires a lot of training and a lot of experience and a lot of observing. Definitely a significant more experience than doing the Megaformer workouts. And that's not to say that it's bad Megaformer workouts because I still teach them all the time. I teach both now, but it's a completely different workout.
It's so different and like incredibly intricate. And I'm just like beyond. It looks crazy to be learning and all of this stuff. I mean, it's very cool.
It is.
It's okay, for the people who might not know the difference, will you dive into that?
Oh yeah, because
I feel
it's
like
very confusing and
it is.
It's also misleading. And the more I am diving into the Reformer, the classical Pilates community, and even athletic Pilates, fine. Reformer, mat, Joe Pilates, umbrella.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in that world look majorly down on Legree, Megaformer, anything like that. Instead of looking down on it, just realize that it's very much a separate entity. I think that they kind of mislead you by marketing it as a Pilates class because it's not.
Right.
It's really not.
No, they're totally
It's not Pilates. It's not.
No.
But it's so fun. It's a great resistance training. I mean, my body changed immensely from it. I loved taking class frequently. I didn't feel burnt out. But Pilates is, I think there's a lot more mind-muscle connection. I think it requires a lot more awareness on form. And I think the teacher really has to know what he or she is doing.
Oh, I bet. Yes.
It can be bad.
Oh my God, some of the videos you post, I'm like, I feel like you're doing gymnastics right now.
It's like dance / gymnastics / parkour.
I know, literally some parkour, just throw
like,
it in there.
What am I doing even? But it's so interesting. I never was a dancer. I mean, I took dance class like every child ever. But I never loved it. I could never follow the steps. And now people will ask me, they're like, oh, you must have been a dancer. I'm like, if you saw me dance right now, you would die. I have zero ability, but I can do the coordination on the machine. It's wild. So
that's so funny. Okay. Also, I mean, everyone's talking about Pilates now. And like you said, there's a lot. Yes. And it is crazy. And I do like to see it in the sense that like, great, like you can do more of these low impact or low intensity exercises. And it does help a lot. Like I have PCOS. Like that's something that I really struggle with is cortisol levels and all of that means I have my 4 coffees a day.
Ooh, that's, yeah.
It's scary. It's bad. It's
we gotta limit that.
I know. That's next step.
We'll discuss later.
We'll discuss that one. Yes.
Later.
Right? But
I know.
It's so coming to the surface and people are talking about it. Will you fill us in on, for some people who like don't know, about like why are these sorts formats of training so important or paying attention to not having 4 coffees a day?
Yeah, that part. Listen, I definitely have gone in waves of being a coffee addict, so no shame.
Right. It's the New York comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it truly depends on body type, what kind of workouts you're interested in, but also like ultimately you have to do what clicks for you. If you're not having fun, then don't do that kind of workout. If you feel like this hurts you in a not fun way, then don't continue to do that. And I learned that the hard way. I used to try and sprint and I literally broke my ankle and was so disordered at the time that I consistently ran on it. I was abroad for 6 months on a broken ankle.
No way.
I mean,
that is, oh my God.
it's horrible. And then of course, now that I'm familiar with Pilates and just how amazing it is, it's rehab for the body. I've seen people change completely in their posture and alignment.
Mm-hmm.
It's low impact, so it doesn't put a lot of stress onto the body. Putting stress onto the body is important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do resistance training. It is key to lift weights as well.
Yeah.
That's again, back to my need to combine Pilates and strength training, because there is definitely a need for both. But I think that basically what people need to know is that Pilates is very low impact. You're not going to necessarily go into every Pilates class and walk out dripping in sweat. That's not necessarily the goal.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to connect to your breath, connect to the movement, have body awareness, which really, the more I teach, the more I see how many people really don't. Down to when to inhale, when to exhale.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you the foundation. And I think from there, getting into strength training, being able to kind of hone in on your breath work and getting into strength training is so much safer. I notice people who come from Pilates into strength, their form is so much better. I mean, I have someone who I love I have a trainer who I absolutely love and respect and is a mentor to me. And she trains professional athletes. And I'm like, what else are they doing? And she's like, they are just doing Pilates. I'm like, you're lying. She's like, they are just doing Pilates.
Whoa.
And she's taken me through her Pilates classes, and I complain and I nearly cry. Like, it's unreal.
Oh my God.
It's unreal.
That is
low impact.
wild. I would love to see that.
It's unreal.
I mean, it does force you to make that, mind-body connection. Mm-hmm. And I noticed too that it infiltrates your mind outside of the workouts as well. And kind of like personally is like, let me be more okay with like taking a rest day or knowing when to, break when you need it or sleep instead of forcing yourself to go to on a run or whatever it might be, which I feel like is so important just in general when it comes to taking care of yourself and health and wellness, mentally and physically.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I admittedly and talk about it openly, that I struggle with finding balance. I want and constantly seek finding balance. And I feel like I have sought after so much balance with all the therapy and all the work that I've done internally, as far as truly like having a grip on the eating disorder.
Yeah.
That talk about balance there.
Oh my gosh, for real.
But finding work-life balance, it's like your addiction or your disorder, it transfers to a different area. So, and I used to be very obsessively working out, i.e. when I was running on a broken ankle. It's like, it sounds so stupid, but it's really irrational. And it's just something that I openly still struggle with. I'm truly a workaholic.
Oh,
so
yes.
That's become a different addiction. And I do move a lot. But I know that my body can only handle so much. And when it is time to break, I know that it is, oh my God, I need to rest. I make sure to, a huge emphasis on recovery, massages, PT, like cupping, truly anything. Baths, soaks, hot sauna. The more you're active, the more you need to prioritize recovery.
100%. And, I'm the same way, whether it's working out, the whole thing. Like, we'll get so obsessive. And you can do it. Like, of course you can. Like, go.
I think it's our personalities.
Oh, 100%.
And our drive.
100%, which, is a great thing. But you have to control it. The way that I've started to approach it is like making rests feel productive. And like with work, it would be maybe like, okay, I'm going to go to a museum and I'm still going to be inspired, but I'm like taking a break. Or it's a massage. I'm like, oh, okay, I am being productive because it's like better,
This is for me. This is self-care.
Yes, exactly. I feel like looking at it that way is somewhat helpful, where it's not like, okay, sit down, Kendall. Like, you don't get to do anything.
I know, for sure. But there are some times where I will just be, and I love vegging out on the couch. But there are moments where my brain just starts going, why are you doing this? You could be doing Sweat with Hannah stuff. You're falling behind here. You could be doing a workout. You could be programming for the week. You could be doing this and that. It's like, I need to learn how to be still and just relax.
Oh,
relax.
Great. It is like, yes, I'm totally the same way. It's like my biggest challenge in life. It's so hard to just sit on the couch or do this or
I
whatever.
know, but it's also the best.
It is. It's so important. And I honestly find that like when I've been doing these travel stints, like went to Bali,
so
that was amazing. But it was like this forced relaxation of like, okay, there's a million things to learn here about spirituality or like get into nature or do these other things that like, yes, you could be writing Instagram captions,
cool. Right.
but okay, there's
your
so
life.
many other ways. Live your life. Live your life. It's tough. And with the pressures we were chatting about before we started recording of social media, of wanting to record everything and having to and feeling the pressure. And it takes away from being present in your life.
Very
and
much so.
Connecting.
It's like that is a double-edged sword because let's say I'm going to a concert. I don't want to be recording, oh, I'm getting ready. Oh, we're walking to our seats. Oh, this is my favorite song. No, I want to be in the moment.
Yes.
And remember the experience instead of having to document every part of it. But then it's like, okay, well, I need content.
I know. And then you feel kind of guilty.
Oh, yeah.
But then you can't feel guilty because you were living your life.
Yes. So I have transitioned instead of film everything down to the food that comes down onto the table that was just served. Like, chill out, set up content hour blocks throughout your week instead of feeling like you have to take content of absolutely everything. Plan it.
Yes, I agree. I think that is so helpful. Like if I'm just in a chatty mood, I'm like, okay, great. Then from 9 to 10 a.m., we're just going to record and like see what comes out. So, right, you don't have to be in the middle of Indonesia and being like, oh shit, I should film
What
this.
caption do I do?
Yeah, yes.
It's like, when are you going back there in that exact moment?
No, never.
Those sunsets, those beaches.
Exactly. That stuff is special. So speaking of curating these other forms of relaxation and whatnot, what are some other practices that you do that like keep you inspired, you know, feeling motivated, all of that good stuff? What else are you into?
Well, I was an English major in college. I'm a bookworm. I try to read at least a book a week. In college I would have to read like 3 to 5 a week and
okay, that makes
balance
sense. Yeah.
everything else, which was insane.
That's incredibly impressive.
It's a way for me to wind down and feel productive at the same time. Like we were talking about.
Yes.
I can get lost in a book and I know that I'm doing something for myself that is great for my brain and also I'm relaxing. So that's something that's really big for me. And this is super cliche, but walking, I don't always want to. I'm forced to, but I also have a golden retriever who requires lots of walking. But every time I walk outside, I feel so much better.
I agree. And like, it's so funny with LA because walking isn't so
It is
natural.
Yeah.
It doesn't come naturally. You have to go do it. But ironic because the weather is usually gorgeous.
Yeah.
Not
this year, but usually.
Not this year. Not lately.
Really
but
upsetting.
Right. I know. Thank God the sun came out this weekend.
I know.
Truly.
I know.
No.